Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Board Game Mechanics. I'm Katie, and with me, as always, is...
Hey guys, what's going on? It is Jason.
We are back. It is a beautiful day outside.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little chilly, but it's sunny, so that's nice.
That's true. Ohio is kind of keeps slipping back into winter a little bit, so I'm hoping we're done with that nonsense.
Yeah, that would be nice. It would be nice to just have some warmth and some sun and all that stuff.
I mean, sorry, Canadians. I'm sure it's worse for you, but...
That's fine. They can just go to Tim Hortons and get warmed up. Burn some of their play money.
Yeah. You mean burn it like spend it, or like burn it like because it's not real money and you can use it in a fire?
I'll leave that up for them to decide.
Sorry, Mel. I don't know. I don't have any banter. I just have my regularness.
Yeah, I've actually been working at work, so that's less fun. So yeah, I got nothing to say. We can just get into it.
I know. I've been like wrapping up 2 quarters semesters at 2 different colleges. So I've been doing a lot of grading, reading a lot of research papers. So my brain is burned, which jab, jab, wink, wink might be a nod at our main feature later. Just saying.
Spoilers.
Da, da, da. Anyway, let's talk about news. So I've got a couple things on news, and they all look really cool, and I'm like wicked pumped about all of them.
Do you want me to take this first one?
If you want to, you can.
I don't want to step on you. I mean, it's your segment. If you want to do it, you can.
I don't want you. You can jump in later after I talk about it and introduce it.
All right.
But now I'm concerned. I want to make sure that I pronounce this right, because this is a game out of Colombia, I believe. Does that sound right? Yes, Colombia.
Yeah, I don't know any of that stuff. I just know how the game works.
That's why I said, no, let me talk about it, because you're going to ruin the theme. You're going to destroy everything. No one's going to want to play it if you start talking about it. So the game is Aldabas. And Aldabas it's called Aldabas Doors of Cartagena,
I think.
Cartagena, yeah. So Aldabas is actually referring to the door knockers on these doors. So this game is a tableau builder where you are building your neighborhood with kind of this mosaic, this tableau of doors with different knockers on them. And the different knockers refer to the family who lives there, their occupation, or maybe their standing, if they're a noble, if they're a fisherman, if they're a member of the clergy, etc. And so you are drafting doors and then placing them in your tableau. And there's like some rules you have to follow. Like the doors have to go all the way to the left. They can't be by other doors the same color. So you've got color things happening, as well as the different like specs of the look of the knocker. And then when you play a card, it each has a special power that activates. And so you're using that to like garner more points, to get you maybe more money to buy more doors. All those kinds of things. You got like a cool little vault tile where you keep your coins underneath it as like a secret because they score. And then also there's kind of a set collection piece, because whichever like occupation you have the majority in, then at the end you're scoring points in the way that that occupation scores points. So maybe you're going to score points based on how many of a certain color door you have, or certain types of knockers you have in a certain arrangement or whatever. So you're kind of balancing like what do I want now to use these powers to get me more coins so I can get more points that way and build up my door tableau, to also like, okay, what do I want to gain at the end game? It just looks like a, fairly simple, fun, pretty game. And this is from Grand Gamers Guild, and so I know they've done some other good stuff as well. And I think this is like a cool like theme that you don't see very often. So it plays 1 to 4 players, really quick. They say about 30 minutes. So if that sounds interesting to you, Aldabas, check it out. There's 4 days left on the Kickstarter, and it's only $20. And so Jason actually has played this through a couple times solo. What did you think, babe?
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about any of the theme because I didn't even know there was a theme.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's just a card game. There's like a drafting row of like 4 or 5 cards that you can buy from, or you get some for free based on where you take them from. what you're trying to do is you're trying to build the tableau in front of you, like you said. But the tricky part is all the types of cards do the same thing. So like all the fisherman cards have the same actions and do the same things. The tricky part is each of those cards can be in one of the 3 different colors, and you can only put cards that are different colors next to each other. So that's where the game comes in, is you're trying, like, I need to have this fisherman card, but I only have a red one, and I can't put it next to this other red card or on top of this other red card, so I can't play it right now. So I got to try to get another card that I want in a different color so I can play it to my tableau. That's the burniness of the game, I think, in the colors. It doesn't seem like the 3 colors would make a big deal, but when you're placing it down, it's tough. And yes, it's really quick. I think I played through a couple games in like, I don't know, it was like 25 minutes each. So the 30 minutes is pretty on point for more than one player. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and we'll have a video at some point after I play it with some real people.
Yeah, I think it looks fun, and just the way that, yeah, you can draft these cards, but there are rules to your placement, and so you're really wanting to maximize your placement because you're not only triggering that particular power, but the powers next to it. And so wanting to make those align right, and then saying, oh, I'm trying to focus on the fisherman, or I really want to focus on the clergy. Like, how do I get those cards in the right colors and then be able to put them where I need them? So yeah, I love games that are simple in their actual execution, but require you to make difficult choices. So I think Aldabas looks like that. So again, 4 days left, $20. Check it out. I think it's a good price point too, by the by.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just a card game, but still, that is pretty cheap for a game that has nice production and pretty solid art.
Yeah. Speaking of nice production, this next game, like, I want to back so bad. It's just a little outside of Jason's price range, which really means every game that's not free.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I guess I should retract that statement. But the game is called Florence. And it's billed as an opulent area control game for 1 to 5 players, but it's really a worker placement game. I feel like in looking at it and watching videos that the area control is kind of minimum. And the designer of this game actually designed Pacific Rails, Inc., which we have and backed on Kickstarter, and yet have yet to play it. But every time I looked at it, and when I looked at the Kickstarter production, I'm like, dude, I'm so into this game. It looks so great. It looks like it's a little bit complex. And Florence has that kind of feel. So, we're back in the Mediterranean, of course. We're dealing with the Medicis, because who else is in Florence?
Clearly no one.
No one but the Medicis. No one. Well, that's not true. Your family is there in this game.
Lorenzo, and he from...
Yeah, Medici.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. All right. So.
There are other ones,
No, there's not. No, there's not.
I think Michelangelo was there. There's some other ones. Anyway, lots of special people in Florence. So in the game, ooh, wait, is there another designer that I recognize? The solo mode was done by Terzi.
Oh yeah, he does tons of stuff.
Yes. So there's a solo mode for this also, which is really interesting. The illustrations are really cool. I don't know the illustrator, Dan Mann, but apparently this is part of a trilogy of games like Ragusa and Venice, which I probably talked about, to be honest, and I don't remember. But in Florence, you are moving your people around in your family because you're trying to get the influence, get the favor of the Medicis. So there are like different things that you can do. You're going to these different places. You're placing your workers where they are placed as far as order also is important, as well as actually taking the actions. So you're going around and like giving gifts to the Medicis, and you're bragging about how awesome you are, hoping that the Medicis will hear about you. And you're also like getting the gossip and intrigue, which are really in the term of cards, that'll allow you to kind of maneuver and manipulate where your people are, and maybe out-manipulate some other people so that you get to the head of the line. And there's 3 different Medici family members, and they move around the board, and each time they come to a location in their carriage, which the carriage pieces are dope, they award points based on where you are in the queue at that location. So that jockeying for spots is really important. And then there's also like a really clever like timing mechanism on your player board that's a wheel that turns these like numbers in the clock, because you only have like the night to go through and get all these things accomplished, because the next day is when there's going to be like this like, I don't know, business meeting with Medicis, and you want to be the one there to get involved, because it's but you're at the night of Carnival and you're trying to really impress them over the night of Carnival. They talk a lot about the theme, obviously, in the video, but basically you're putting these workers different places to gain you more influence points. It's a euro.
I like that description. That makes me really want to play it.
You're welcome. And then what's really cool is there's like this noble dial, and I think that in some ways you can turn it because each of the nobles like awards points in different ways, and then I think they each have different variations within that. So you might be able to manipulate that, it looks like, to get the points in your favor when they come to visit. And they have these really cute carriage minis, one for each of them. There's these little debutante meeples and donna meeples and little present gift like meeple things and brag tokens that look like wine glasses and guard meeples. There's some really cool production to this, like really, really cool. It looks really awesome. But because it is like a deluxe edition production, if you're interested in Florence, you like worker placement, the area control bit I think is about you kind of having your people in these certain like bragging areas, like, you know, bragging the most or being the first in line. There's 6 days left on this Kickstarter and it's $64. But you really get a ton of stuff in this, and the production quality looks awesome. The artwork is very much the ugly Euro artwork that we love so much. I mean, we just do. And for a 5-player game, all those pieces, and even for a solo, like it just looks really intriguing. And like dual layer player boards, like all kinds of great stuff. So that is Florence.
Did you say this was from Capstone?
I did not say it's from Capstone.
Is it?
No, Brain Crack.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought they were the ones that did some of the other ones, like Ragusa.
No, they did. Brain Crack did Ragusa.
Oh, I really thought it was Capstone. Okay, cool.
That's what it says. That's what, unless they're lying to me.
No, I don't know. I just
Brain Crack Games, the UK-based publishers of Downsize, Mind Out, Farsight, Dead and Breakfast, Ragusa, and Venice.
Nice. All right. Yeah, cool. Maybe Capstone does American distribution or something. I don't know. I thought I saw their name on it somewhere.
You know, I don't know about those things. I don't know why you bother to ask. I just read what's here on the Kickstarter page. But it looks really good. From what I've seen of Dean Morris's work with Pacific Rails Inc., I have a feeling this is going to be a really good game with some good heavy choices. Not super brain burny, but definitely a little bit of run for your money. So check out Florence. 6 days left, $64.
Yeah, that one does sound pretty good.
I think we'd like it, babe, but I know you're not going to back it for $64.
Maybe we can find a free copy somewhere.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anyway, the last game is a much lighter game, much prettier game, I will also tell you. However, this game does something that Jason hates, and it has a deluxe only edition.
Ugh.
Which I don't quite understand that, but okay, I guess. Just don't tell me it's a deluxe edition and just say, hey, the regular edition is expensive because we have awesome production quality. But whatever. The game is Vivid Memories, and this is a tile drafting game, sort of. They say it's a tile drafting game, but it's very much like, it reminds me of an Azul, a Sagrada kind of, because you're drafting these little like diamond looking colors. And they're like memory shards, I think they call them. And so you're drafting them and then off of these memory tiles. And then once you get once the memory tile is empty, you take that tile. And you're putting these little shards in these little like honeycomb looking parts of your brain. But there's a strategy to where they go because you can get bonuses from them touching the different parts of your core memories that reflect the colors of them. Also, this is really friendly for colorblind or color weak people because not only do the shards have a specific color, they also have an actual noticeable specific icon on them, which I think is super helpful. And like nothing super convoluted, like the red has hearts on it and you can easily see the white heart on the red shard.
Yeah, that is nice. That's
the
nice.
Blue. Yeah, the blue has like a lightning bolt on it. So I feel like they did a really great job making this accessible to people. So you're drafting these, and when you draft, there's a certain way that you can draft them. You can take 3 of different colors, and whatever comes out of the bag is what's there on the tile. So you may not have the option, or two of the same, or one single of anything. And then you place them in an empty cell in your brain. And you're going to do that for a strategic reason, because not only are you going to get points for where they're placed in your brain if they're touching core memories of the same color or design, but also when you pull these kind of moments tiles, they have scoring opportunities on them as well. So you are pulling the shards, you're putting them in your brain. Then you have these actions, these 4 different actions you can take. If you happen to get a moment tile, that is used to cover up one of the basic actions, and you get kind of a new action. And once that's spent, you flip that tile over, and now it becomes a scoring opportunity. So then you have a scoring round. And so you're going to score that memory. If you do, it moves off your board, opens up that slot again. Also, and so those kind of scoring opportunities are based on how the shards are placed, what colors are in which cell, if there's 2 colors by themselves, if there's 3 particular colors. So you're kind of on the lookout for that. Also, everyone has an aspiration, which is like the thematic part of that is, oh, this is what I want to be when I want to grow up. So it's like an astronaut or a firefighter or a musician or a doctor. I think there's 5 different ones. I think there's 5 or 6 different ones. And then they will give you extra scoring for a particular color or type of shard. So it's just this really interesting balance of, okay, I want to take these shards. What colors do I want? Where are they going to go? I've also got these special powers that allow me to manipulate those once they get into those hexes. How can I use that to leverage the most points in your scoring, like after each kind of draw phase? It looks, simple, but also like, how am I going to place these to maximize my points? 2 to 4 players, 30 to 60 minute game. Really, really gorgeous artwork. The hexes are inlaid. So it's like a layered player board, which is really great. You've got these nice, fragment tokens that fit in there, and a embroidered bag. I think if you get if you back Kickstarter, you get the play mat and these really pretty moment tiles, all that stuff. So if that sounds interesting to you, Vivid Memories, there's 7 days left on that Kickstarter, and the deluxe edition is $50.
I should have put on one of my pet peeves, play mats.
Sometimes they are really nice, honey. The Tonto Quarry playmat, super necessary.
It's not necessary, but it's nice.
Yes. Even the playmat for Marvel United, super nice to have. The one that we have for Parks, really nice to have. It just keeps everything neat.
Yeah, I understand. I like playing on them. I'm just saying, adding $30 onto every game for a playmat is just,
I don't think
it's getting overwhelming.
The playmat is not the $30 extra. It's like the double layered boards and the extra thick cardboard tiles, and these, instead of chits, you've got these really nice fragment tokens.
All right.
A deluxe 3D first player marker.
No, talk about pointless right there.
It's a paper airplane, a custom box insert.
Would you like to pay $10 to add on a first player marker that does absolutely nothing? Yes, I would.
Still, absolutely gorgeous. Looks like a really fun, interesting game. The theme is kind of cool, although pasted on. But a lot of people really like that abstract Azul Sagrada type, let's pull color tiles and arrange them. So I think this is great for a lot of people. So Vivid Memories, 7 days, $50. Check it out.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I've never heard of this one, but I'll have to go watch some videos because it sounds kind of neat.
Well, I happen to know things that you don't know. How do you like that?
I know, good job. I haven't been studying up on a lot of the new games, so I'm just relying on you to tell me what's good.
Great. Give me the pressure. Our correspondent in the field sends me all these solo games, and I'm like, I'm never going to play that, buddy. So find a Euro. Jason's not going to get anything else.
Yeah.
But that's all I have for news today.
All right, so we did get to play some games last week. We played some new games, some games that won't be out until next year, and an old game.
Were those people?
Yep, we're pulling a Man versus Meeple up in this piece, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
You're super boring then, because I'll just be regular boring.
You're regular boring.
Yep.
No, remember that one guy said, you're annoying and I'm boring, so I'll be boring.
And and I'll be annoying. Done. Done and done.
All right, so the first game we played was a game that we backed on Kickstarter. Whoa, this is like the third week in a row when we've played games that we've actually paid for. What is going on?
I know. Why do we even have this podcast anymore?
So this game is the 2-player version of the Networks, and it's called the Rival Networks. We love the Networks, so when this one came on to Kickstarter, we're like, man, we need to try this one, because if it's anything like the Networks, we're sold. So we played it. It's a 2-player only game where you're kind of doing the same kind of thing. You're running your TV network, trying to put shows in the appropriate time slots, trying to get more ratings than your opponent. But this one's more like, instead of trying to grow a TV show, earn ratings for as long as you can, this is kind of put a show in the air, then burn it, and put another show in the air and burn it, just to try to get the most viewers by the end of the game. It's kind of a little tug of war on each of the 3 time slots of the players to try to get the most viewers. The gameplay is similar, but it's a lot more streamlined. Instead of having a lot of choices you can choose from, you're basically going to draft a show, you're going to draft a star and an ad, and then you're going to be using those ads that you drafted. As long as you have highest ratings in a certain time slot, they're going to be worth more money. Or you can sell 2 of them together to use money, and you're going to use those ads to buy network cards, which is a little different than the original. And then the network cards are going to give you some more viewers, extra ways to get money, extra ways to get points, that kind of thing. The cool thing about this one is you're putting all your ratings, your viewers, in this little house, which is called the bank. It's like a Nielsen house kind of thing. At the end of the game, you're going to pick up your house and see who has the most viewers in there. So you never really know who's winning. So it's kind of one of those, I think I'm doing all right, but at the end of the game, I could get trounced, but who knows. So that's kind of an overview. So what did you think of the Rival Networks? We don't even have to compare it to the regular networks. Just what did you think about this game on its own?
Are you guiding my response right there?
No, I was just saying, you don't have to compare it to the original game, because I did that in the video, but you can if you want to.
Okay. So yeah, this is definitely a lot more streamlined. Like, I felt like there's less chance of AP here, because it's like, okay, I've got 3 shows to choose from. I have to choose one. So which one is the best that's going to work? I feel like I paid more attention then to the genre bonuses for the different types of shows I was picking. So that kind of upped that for me. And it definitely was, let's upload a show and dump whatever I got, as much as I can, into it at the time, because I'm not worried about what it's going to do in syndication. I'm not trying to continue with the viewers later on, which is really a different strategy. And I think maybe I need to play it again to really think about it. We also had like an executive card where it gave you special player power. My special player power did not seem to help me as much as Jason's did.
Your executive sucked. Mine was awesome.
My executive did suck. Jason was getting all this ad revenue all the time, so he could buy all these better cards, and I could get 1 extra star basically around, which didn't really help me that much, at least in the way we played it. Because, and that's the other thing, is I was surprised that I consistently would win the time slots, but I felt like that didn't do that much for me overall.
Yeah, that's true. It's really more about, you need the money. You need the network cards, because you can always it seems like you can always get stars to throw them on to get, some cheap viewers. Right. Yeah, that's not as big a deal, it didn't seem like.
Yeah, so it definitely is a different strategy, but I liked it. However, because I do like deeper, more intricate games, I would rather play the original networks at 2 players, just because I like that balance of more going on, of what star is going to fit with each show the best, what shows are going to age and still give me the most viewership. How can I really work on the long game? I like that. However, if I never played the networks before, I like the concept of the networks and the theme and the way you play it so much that the Rival Networks would be a great start. And especially if, like, you're a person who's really into games, and maybe you have someone in your household that's not really into games, because I hear that complaint all the time. And I'm not gonna get my soapbox about how I hate how men post in the board game groups like, my wife is into games, what should I do? And then other idiots are like, let her win. Oh, show her your favorite game. No, you idiots. No. Listen to her and play the games that she likes with the themes that she likes. But whatever. That's all beside the point.
No, you can't listen to your wife. Come on.
You shut up. This would be a nice one to say, hey, a game about TV shows. Most people are into that. Like, oh, have you ever wanted to run your own TV station? And then this is a really simple mechanic. Like here, you pick a show, then you pick a star to go with it. Then you pick, well, actually, you don't even pick a star to go with it. You pick the show, and the star and the ad are chosen for you. So it just really is a lot more streamlined version of the network. So it would be great to kind of introduce people, even new people and people who aren't super into games, to something that has the potential to develop into more. So I would say that's the big benefit for the Rivals networks.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you've never played the networks, get the rival networks, try it out. And then when you like that one, go try the networks and you'll like that one even better, I think. And I do say when you like the rival networks because it's a great game and it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be enjoyable. Even if you have played the networks, it's still fun. All right, so the next game we played is an older game. I'm not sure how old, but it's older than a year and probably older than 5. I don't know. But it's called Kingsport Festival. So this is no, listen here. We're going to say some words that we don't normally say.
Right?
This is a Cthulhu version of Kingsburg, sort of. It has some different mechanisms, but it's essentially the same kind of gameplay, but with the Cthulhu theme pasted on. And what
it's
you're
from
doing
2014.
Oh, nice. So
2014.
7 years old? Hey, that's old. All right. This is like ancient in board gaming time.
Right.
So what you're doing in this, it plays similar to Kingsburg. You're going to roll these dice, and then based on your result, you're going to call on one of the elder gods to give you some special power, which basically means they're going to give you cubes. They're going to give you some magic. They're going to give you points, but they're going to make you go a little bit more insane. And the better elder gods make you go even more insane than the weaker ones. So you're trying to balance your sanity to get the rewards that you want so you can build these different buildings that are on the map in the middle of the board that are going to give you special powers that help you fight the investigators. There's going to be 4 investigator... I call them attacks. I don't know what the investigators do. Investigating, yeah. There's 4 of those throughout the game. At certain points, they're going to have different strength. So you're trying to make sure that you have the appropriate strength to battle the investigators, because you're the cultist in this one. The investigators are the bad guys. So I enjoy this game. I think I might like it a little bit better than Kingsburg because there's a little bit going on. Like the spell cards are cool. The way that I don't like the theme as much, but I really enjoy the spell cards, and it feels a little deeper to me than Kingsburg. So what do you think about Kingsport Festival?
Well, this is actually my choice for us to play because I have actually really liked this game for a long time. This was an early game for us in our collection. We really started building out more games, and I wanted to take pictures and be like, look, Tim, it's the Elder Gods. We found Cthulhu. Can you believe that? That we did actually play a Cthulhu game. I like this because there's the simplicity of the Yahtzee rolling. Then where am I going to use my dice? But there's also like, okay, what things do I need? Because I want to branch out and be able to place my markers on these different buildings that are going to give me powers. What powers do I have? When's the investigation coming up I need to be ready for? This addition of the spell cards that can help you with points and help you with the investigations, or help you just with your rolls and getting like the items you need, the cubes you need. I like that. The theme is like super pasted on, so it doesn't really matter that much. Although I kept talking about how I kept going insane, which was fun and so close to real life. But I do really like this one. This is one that I like to bring out. It's not hard, but I do think it's also kind of a next step for people. You need 3 players to play it, so we don't play it all that much. But since everyone's rolling and then you're placing, I feel like turns move fast. There's a lot of simultaneous stuff that you're doing. It's kind of a nice like, hey, oh, you like to roll dice? Let's push that a little bit further. So yeah, I like Kingsport Festival a lot.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It might go on a little too long, but I think that it's fine. It doesn't like super outstay its welcome, but it might just a tad too long.
That's because you're you.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. So the last game we played is the game that doesn't come out for another 17 years.
It's not that bad.
It's next year, actually. The Kickstarter happens in June, but the game will not...
Next year or
this year? But it's not going to officially deliver until next year.
It's like it's this year, but then people get on us if we put it on a list because it really isn't out yet or available, but it's still people know about it because they might have backed it.
Correct, yeah. It's one of those things.
That old chestnut.
This game is from Dr. Finn's Games, and it is called Little Flower Shop... The Dice Game. I think that's the name. And this is well, this is going to sound surprising, but this is the dice version of a game called The Little Flower Shop.
Little flower shop, the dice game.
Yeah, that too.
Is that going to be a copyright strike?
No, because that was not a real song. I mean, I know what you were singing, but yeah, I think it'll be fine. So what this is a dice game of Little Flower Shop where you are trying to roll dice to fulfill these different flower and vase requirements of these tiles that are out in front of everybody in the table. So I think there are 3 different flower types. There's 3 different vase types, I believe. And you're trying to use your dice to fulfill the requirements on the tile or spend them to get money, to turn the money into wild tokens, to get ribbons for your flowers, to score a pile of points. There's also this weird task card, which is going to give you points for having certain items in the column and the row in your flower shop. So you're trying to pay attention to some of the icons because there's like knickknacks on all of them too. There's like a cup, I think some kind of animal, and I think like a candle holder or something. There's 3 different types of them. And you're trying to ensure that you're getting the appropriate flowers, different kinds of knickknacks in certain places in your flower shop. It plays pretty quickly. It happens over 6 rounds, which is a day in the game. And whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. So what did you think of Little Flower Shop, the dice game?
Well, Little Flower Shop is nice, like the original game with the cards, but it's so simplistic in my opinion. The dice game is also really simple, but you've got that kind of luck-based thing happening where the dice are going to give you whatever, and you're going to try to mitigate that. It's cute. It's pretty. I just felt like it was just way too easy. And you could said, oh, you buy these things, you can earn a pile of points. I earned a pile of points. I don't know what the rest of you were doing when we played this game.
I had over 30 points, thank you.
Okay. But I would like more from these games. Like, I think they have like such great potential, and I just want a little bit more. And I thought like some of the rules need to clarify, because like on this one you can move on to different phases without the rest of the players, which I feel like can kind of make things get confusing. Maybe it's because, we were just learning it as we went, and that's why it was confusing. It might be less confusing if we had done it more than once. But the dice rolling and then being able to save a certain amount of dice each time, or you could pay more to save more, or pay more to save none. That is a really good mechanic. Also, I think there's some good things here. Just for me, it was like way too late.
Yeah, I did reach out to Dr. Finn to ask about that die rolling thing and people moving on to the next phase. We did play it correctly. I don't love the way that works. So, yeah, that's the game. We didn't play it wrong. That's just the game. And I do agree. He does a lot of lighter games, so everybody can play. Basically, you can read the rules, pick it up, and have fun with it. So, but yeah, I would like to see this game be a little bit deeper than it is. Just a tad bit. Because it's going to fly away at the lightness that it is right now. But yeah, that's just his style.
And that also speaks to our style too, which I think really leads into our main segment of the show. Because we want to talk about our favorite brain burner games. And that's because we like those games. We like the games that make you go, okay, now what do I got to do? Okay, well, I can't forget about this track. Well, what about this one? Oh, I need to also do this one. We love those brain birdie games. I mean, it's obvious with how much I love dear old Uncle Vital Lacerda, all of his games I could put on this list for brain birdie games. But we wanted to talk about some of our favorite games that really make us scratch our head and burn our brains. There is smoke coming out when we have these at the table. So what is your first game, babe?
So speaking of Uncle Vital, he's got to make the list. It's not all Vital games, but my first one is a Vital game. And I picked Lisboa. And honestly, you could pick any of them. I just grabbed Lisboa because it's the first one that popped into my head from him. And this game, like every Vital game, you take a simple action. You're either going to put your dude on a spot and build a building. But when you do that, it's going to trigger 97 other things that you have to think about and sort out. And you're trying to, make sure you have the money. So when you go to this spot, you can do this thing that's going to trigger off this other thing. And then you're trying to watch what your opponent's doing because you can follow them on certain things that they're doing if you have proper tokens and all that stuff. It has so much stuff going on. It even has its own little handbook that you can look at what you're doing because it's that complicated, so you can see what all the actions do. So Yeah, it's a great game. It's fun. Once you know how to play it, it's not like, it's still hard. It still burns your brain, but it's not going to like, be impossible to play. It's just, there's a lot going on, a lot of stuff to do. And Uncle Vital is the king of heavy games. So had to make my list, Lisboa.
Yeah, I totally agree. So hard. I really enjoy this game like a lot once I finally figured out a right way to play it. But it is one of those, it's like, okay, yeah, I like the action that person did. How do I do that too? Oh crap. Okay, so I need this stuff. Well, how do I get that stuff? I got to do this thing. Well, I can't do that thing because I don't have this thing. Okay, where do I go to get this thing? And then you're just like, okay, what can I do on my turn? Because there is so much to look at and so many actions that are independent, or not independent, but they're dependent on other things. And that's just really a lot of how Vital's games work, which is why my first one is also a Vital Lacerda game, and that is the Gallerist. Now, the Gallerist is by far my favorite Vital game. I love this game. However, every time I play it, it hurts me. It hurts me a lot. Because I know what I want to do. I'm like, okay, I really want to get, and in this game, so the Gallerist, you are managing an art gallery. And so you want to bring people into your art gallery. You want to discover new artists. You want to help make them famous because they in turn, provide benefits for you. You want to then get them famous so you can sell their paintings for a lot of money, either on the domestic or on the international markets. And then in typical Vital style, you need certain amounts of, is it fame? Or I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think it's fame in that one. I'm not 100% sure.
In order to be able to like take certain like little associate actions or actions that you can piggyback off of somebody else. But you have to do other actions in order to get that. So there's just so much. It's not even like there's so much in your turn. You can do like one thing, but it's like, oh, well, in order for me to buy this artist, I have to have this particular type of, or this amount of money. Well, how do I get this money? Well, I got to sell something. Well, okay, I can't buy a piece of art unless I have the specific permit. Okay, well, how do I get the permit? Well, I need more of the fame. Like, it's just all interwoven, mixed up together, like one thing layers on another, and you just are trying to sort through all those layers to play the game. I honestly love that. I know there's some people that are like, I would rather die than play a game like that. But I feel like once I get it, that it's awesome. I mean, I feel like I'm a genius because I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do. And so then you really are thinking in long terms of your turn. Like, okay, I'm going to have to do this on this turn. That's going to allow me to get this thing, which is going to allow me to do this thing on my next turn. And then I'm going to hope for an associate action so I can kind of double back and get this thing. And then I'm going to want to make sure I have this thing. And like, so you're planning turns and turns and turns in advance. And it just really helps you like think about strategy and look farther ahead. And I guess for just my personality in general, I'm not that kind of person in real life. And so to have a game that really forces me to work that part of my brain, for some reason, it's just very exciting to me. So my first choice on this list of brain burners is the Gallerist.
Yeah, I love the Gallerist. I'm not sure if it's my favorite Vital. I can't remember, but it's up there. I love it. All right, so now we're done with Vital for now.
For now.
He may show up later, but we're done for now. And my second one is a game from Board and Dice. And it's one of their weird T games that are really hard to pronounce, but it's called Tekhenu. Obelisk of the Sun, I think, is the full title. Now, this game is not nearly as complex as a Vital game, but it still has that same feel where every action, you need at least 3 other things to go along with that action. Each action kind of ties into other sections of the board, so you're always trying to make sure that you have stuff that you need to take the action that you need so you can score the points. You may have some statues out on the board that when other players are taking actions, it might give you some stuff, so you're always paying attention to that. You're making sure you have enough resources when the scoring rounds come around that you can pay to feed all your people. It's not really feeding your people, but it's kind of a similar mechanism. There's a lot going on here. You always have to fight with the dice because you may not get the dice values or colors that you want. The die you really want could be in the forbidden section, which really stinks. And yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff to think about on your turn. And it makes my head hurt a little bit, but I do enjoy it. So my number 2, Tekhenu.
I also really like Tekhenu. And the reason why Tekhenu wasn't on my list is because I don't find it that
You're smarter than me.
I don't know. I think there is something to that. I think the first play, I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know how to play this game. The couple plays we've done afterwards, I felt much more confident in playing this game. It clicked for me. But it is very much like, okay, this is the action. Again, this is the action I want to do. How do I take that action? Oh, I need this die. Crap. There aren't any. Or, oh, I could use it, but it's going to, unbalance me. Or I don't have the resources. So again, it's very much like you have to kind of almost build up a few turns in order to be able to take the turns that you actually want. And that requires forethought. That requires some brain burning. So yeah, I could totally see why this is on the list. My next one, I feel like, is much simpler than a lot of these other games in a lot of ways. But it burns my brain every time. And I actually really love deduction. And this game is called The Alchemist. So in The Alchemist, you're trying to figure out a specific combination of ingredients that make different colored potions. And you're doing that by testing the ingredients. We've played it using the app. And you're kind of doing a process of elimination. Okay, these two ingredients make this certain output. What does that tell me? Which that in itself is kind of a pain to figure out. It really is. And sometimes I think I figured it out and I got totally wrong. And there's several times I played this where I've totally screwed everything up and misunderstood. And so then I felt like I was an idiot. And then one time I played it and I'm like, oh, I got everything. This makes so much sense. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong in this game. But it's not even just that. If that was the only thing you had to do, the game would be complex enough. But on top of that, then you got this board where you're also placing workers each time to then you're testing potions, but you're also trying to sell some to people because you need the money because sometimes you have to pay for that. And then you're also publishing papers, trying to get points for that because if you figure out everything, it doesn't mean that you can win the game just by figuring it out. And then on top of that, they made an expansion, which I have not even bothered to play because obviously I can barely get through the regular game. So it's a lot of thinking possibilities. When I was in elementary school, I was in this smart kids class. Sounds like I'm tuning my own horn. But we spent a lot of time doing things we called mind benders, which is where you got the grid and they give you a few clues and you need to match who has what pet, and then what day did they take their pet in the class or something. So you have these grids where, okay, that Bob's pet is furry and he took his pet in the first half of the week. But Jim's pet was after him or something. So then you have to eliminate stuff, this whole process of deduction, which I started obviously at a young age. But that didn't help me any because I still script the Alchemist all the time. But that challenge makes me want to be I can do it. I got to do this. I got to figure this out. So my second pick is the Alchemist.
Yeah, we played this, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. And man, I still feel like a moron when I play this game. I can kind of understand. I mean, I understand how it works, but it's tough to figure that stuff out. It's tough. All right, so the last one I picked is honestly not that hard of a game, but there's an aspect of it that is really tricky, and that game is called Merkator from Uwe.
Oh, man.
So this game is pretty straightforward. You're moving this little pawn to a different city, you're getting cubes, and you're trying to fulfill contracts. The trick here is the contracts you need to fulfill are never from the city where you need to go.
No.
So you're spending these turns, you're spending 2 or 3 turns to go get cubes. And then finally, you're going to go to a place where you can fulfill a contract. But then the cubes you get there, you don't need those. So the whole game is you're trying to balance where you need to go to where you really should go to fulfill contracts, because that's how you get your points. And it's just, it messes with your brain. It's complicated. The pick up and deliver aspect of this is some of the most tricky pick up and deliver I've ever played in a game. And it makes my brain hurt. And I just want to go to the place where I need cubes and also fulfill a contract there. Why is that so hard? Huh? Why is that so difficult? Which you can
if you plan it out enough, but it can't be the same cubes you just got.
I know. It's crazy. It's tricky. So my third one, I love the game. It's really fun. But man, it burns my brain. And that's Merkator.
I totally agree. This game is so flipping hard. because you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I have a contract. I'm going to go, to Scotland or whatever. And then you're like, dang it, but Scotland gives me vegetables. I don't need freaking vegetables. Like, it's irritating. It's like you see what you want to do and you're like, no, but I can't go there. I don't really need to go there. And then the other thing that's nice is that you can jump onto somebody else's movement. If they're going to a place, it's actually night. You could tag along and complete something there, but half the time they don't want to go where you need to go, or you don't want to give them the time tokens. So then you're like, well, I'm still screwed. Like, it just is really, you're like, this should be simple. I go to a place, I pick up cubes, I drop off cubes, I fulfill contracts, I turn them over, I get harder contracts. But it is really brain burning. I agree.
Yeah, it should be stupid simple, but of course, in Uwe fashion, it cannot be.
Yeah. All right, my last one, I don't know who designed it or who publishes it because
it's Mind Clash Games. I'm not sure I'm the designer though.
Okay, but my last game is Tricerion. Tricarion is a kind of industrial revolution maybe set game about old world magic. Think The Prestige, the movie, that kind of setting. So we're talking really exciting, magic is new and you're going to put it on the stage. And the thing about this game is there are so many things to manage. So you are going to need tricks to actually perform as a magician. You have to learn them. You have to also have the equipment. So you're going to go buy the equipment. And sometimes you have to order, equipment's not in stock. You got to order it. You got to have the money for that. So you got to make time to go to the bank. You have to then you can advertise. You might want to go get a spot, reserve a spot at the theater to actually perform your trick. Then you got to make sure you have the right types of assistants and workers that need to be at the different places to help really maximize each of those things that you want to get or the things you want to do. There just is a lot going on. We also have several expansions, which add some other things as well. The game is really fun. I love that it's such a different theme, but you just have a lot to handle because it's not only that, I've got to make sure I have all these things and I go to the right places in worker placement. Only certain people are able to carry out certain actions. A lot of actions are blocked off to you if you don't get there first or you don't get the best kind of action. And it depends on what the turn is and who takes what. There's a lot going on. And while I do like to play it, Tricerion is a brain burner.
And it sucks to teach. That is a pain in the neck. It really does.
I think just because there's so many parts and contingencies and
yeah, you got to explain the programming, you got to explain all the paperwork, you got to explain all the spaces. It's a pain. It's a pain. It also has a little cheat book too, like Lisboa,
yes,
where you can look inside and see all the magic tricks and all that stuff, so you don't have to keep rifling through cards and stuff, which is pretty cool.
But also indicates the fact that it's difficult.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we do have some honorable mentions. You put most of these on here, but I can talk about a few because I agree with some. And I'm actually going to skip across the list because I want to talk about one that I almost put on my list, and that is London Dread. So This is a game, it's not even a hard game. It's a cooperative game where you're trying to move around this town, also like Cthulhu or horror themed or something. And you're trying to move around this town and just fulfill requirements on these cards to complete the cards to try to complete the story. And then after you do the first phase, you're going to roll some dice and try to fight the baddie. My problem with this game is I don't know how to play it. I don't understand I don't understand the rules. I've read the rules. I've watched Rado play it. We've played it 2 or 3 times, and I still have no idea what's going on in this game. Katie tells me what to do and I do it. That's normally
so like real life.
Yeah, right. But normally I'm pretty good at games. I can figure out Lisboa, I can figure out all these heavy games, but this one is the bane of my existence for some reason and almost made my list because I just can't figure it out. So London Dread is one that I put on the honorable mention list.
Yeah, and I can't figure out why you can't figure it out. I'm trying to I try to walk you through it. I'm like, look, babe, we got to turn, someone's got to go here and, we got to turn these cards over. And
I don't understand.
And everybody's got to bring these things to the table. I'm not even mean about it.
I like the game, I think. I don't, I don't really know.
We even played it with somebody else. And I'm like, well, maybe it's just me. So we played it with our friend Brandon. And so Brandon and I were like, oh, okay, yeah, you can go here and we can go here. And Jason's just like, okay.
No idea. No idea.
I'm like, put your clock here. Put your clock. Just do this. I don't like to quarterback, but for some reason, I don't understand why it's bad.
I don't know.
So if we're in confessional mode, I probably should confess a game that I have on my honorable mentions because it is the easiest game known to man, but apparently I'm an idiot and cannot figure this game out. I mean, there's several of them that are like that, I will admit. But I think we just mentioned this game not too long ago. And the game is called Overboss, a boss monster adventure. So yes, this is like 8-bit, old school, like video game, throwback nostalgia thing that you can buy at any box store. However, Katie could not figure out the game as long as we played it. And actually, the game probably took longer because I was so stupid.
Yeah, I was going to say it. I think you made the game take longer.
Because I was really trying to understand. Like, you have to draft a tile, and then with that tile, you get a monster. And each tile does something different. But apparently, I didn't understand the scoring. I couldn't figure out exactly how the monster's powers worked. And part of it was my goal card or whatever for a certain type of tile was the most complicated power tile, in my opinion.
That was like the teleporter tile, right? Or something?
No, it was like the switching.
Oh, yeah, switching people around. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just kind of stuck with that, but that didn't really work out so well because I just left the game confused even more so. I don't think this game is hard, but for some reason, tiles being laid and moving around, Katie's brain just doesn't work. It burns my brain so bad.
Yeah,
so
I didn't have that much of a struggle with that one, but yeah, that was definitely that's your bane of existence right there.
I think children could play this game better than me.
You're probably right.
One that I totally forgot until just now, and I should have put it on my list, honestly. Masque of the Red Death. We talk about a decent amount. This is also a deduction game, so maybe I just chose Alchemist instead. But Masque of the Red Death is so difficult because you got to figure out not only where death is going to be, actually at I don't know what, every 5-minute intervals for a half hour?
10 minutes.
Every 10 minutes for an hour. Okay, so that's what, 6 different positions.
Yep.
So you're trying to figure out as much as you can where he's going to be, or at least where he's not going to be. And then not only that, you're trying to remember that for all these different times. You're also trying to kind of be popular at the same time figuring this information out. And then you got to figure out, okay, can I get to, do I know enough to know rooms that I can actually get to during this hour of death so that I don't die and manage to make it all the way through?
Yeah, I agree with all that. That game's rough.
It's so satisfying when you can do it, and even just getting to it and trying to it, like, it's super intense. Like, I feel like the theme really shines through really well in that. Like, it just, it's like nail biting. Like, you're like, I swear that I'm right on this, but maybe there's a chance I was wrong. Like, it's just so tense, but it is really difficult. Like, that game burns my brain, but I think it's totally worth it.
Yeah, you said when you win. No, that doesn't happen for me.
It's happened once for me, twice for me.
It's fun to stay alive till like 12:20. That's usually where I die.
I think I died at 12:10 last time.
Yeah, I think I outlived you last time.
I was like dead immediately. I don't know what's happening, but I'm gone.
Yeah. Next on the list is your favorite game of all time, I believe.
Yes.
And that's Coimbra. Coimbra, again, not a hard game to play, but the decisions are tricky. You're using dice for both pip value and color, and you're trying to make sure that, you're getting cards that you need, you're moving up on tracks that you need, you're moving around the little board so you can put markers on the appropriate buildings that you need to score points. You're trying to build an engine out in front of you to help you throughout the game, which I always neglect, but I hear that it does work pretty well.
It seems to.
And yeah, this game is really good, but it's pretty deep for like a medium weight Euro. It kind of is brain burning.
Yeah, I love this game. It's my favorite game. And I think it's because I just get it. I just get this game. But I could see how there are a lot of, and much like my other favorite game, Grand Austria Hotel, there are a lot of different things to juggle. There's all those different tracks. There's the cards that you're trying to draft, being able to competitively draft the ones you need. Then, making sure you're using those cards and, are you going to have in-game points, and are you going to be able to purchase like some of these different tiles where you can have more in-game scoring, like, and moving around the map, and that's giving you other powers. Like, there is a lot to balance in this game, so I know that it can be a brain burner for people.
Yeah, then we have a few more Uncle Vital games, Kanban and Vinhos. They're both different themes. One's about running a car plant, and one's about running like a wine vineyard. Yeah, and but they play kind of similarly, where each area kind of rolls into the next one. Kanban is a little different because you have a mean little Sandra meeple that comes around and inspects you and slaps you around if you're not doing your work up to par. So it's a meaner one than most, but still, they both give Vital vibes and, are brain burning. I
think Kanban's actually the simplest of all of his games, to be honest. I like it the least because I feel like you get points for stuff that doesn't matter. It doesn't match the theme of the game. But that's my own personal problem. I don't think the game is as difficult. Vinhos, you have this mechanism where you're moving, the actions you can take are in proximity to where your little player token is. You can move more if you have the money for it, but money is so hard to come by. So it's like this really tight, like, oh, do I take this action? I don't really need it, but gosh, I don't want to pay money. Like, how can I get more money? That's always your constant thing. How do I get more money? Like, what is happening here? Why don't I have better vines in this stupid area? That one I think is much harder, in my opinion, than Kanban. But I know none of Uncle Vital's games are Walk in the Park, except we haven't played that Merkator de Lisboa or something.
Yeah, that's like a filler, and you haven't played CO2. No, which I have a couple times, and it's easier than Kanban, honestly, probably.
Oh.
But it's semi-cooperative, and that makes me like it a little bit less because I don't like where everybody's working together, but you're also trying to get the most points. I don't love that.
And I'm sure On Mars is quite difficult as well, but
right.
We haven't played that one either. A game that I find particularly brain-burning, which Jason doesn't, which is, I don't want to say rare because I don't want to be mean. Jason's not dumb. He's not dumb at all. But I happen to be more proficient at multitasking, when games require that, they tend to be brain burning, and so they're easier for me. And Rococo is like a game for me. There is you want to make dresses, so you're simply like saying, oh, okay, well, I need to send these people to go get the fabric that I need to then go employ my, tailor and make this dress or this coat or whatever. And then I decide what to do with it. And on the surface, that seems very simple. But you're doing this through a series of card play. The cards are what dictate the different levels and types of actions you can take. You can try to upgrade those and weed ones that aren't as good out of your deck. Also balancing like the money that you need with the area control piece. I just, the last time we played it, I feel like I did a better job for some reason, but often I'm like, what do I do? Like, I have some kind of AP with Rococo just because there are also a lot of things to balance in that game.
Yeah. I don't understand it. I think that game is pretty straightforward, but yeah, you do kind of get locked up in that one a little bit. All right. So, the next one on the list, actually, I posted on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram about what are some people's favorite brain-burning games, and this game actually came up, and that is Zulkin. So this is a game where you're using your workers, putting them on the big gears, and you're rotating the gears. The longer your worker stays on the gear, the better action that it can take when you pull it off. So on your turn, you're either going to place workers or pull them off. And deciding how long you want to keep your worker on that wheel really can kind of get a little burny, because sometimes you have to pull a worker off. Like, you have no options. You have no workers to place. All your workers are on the wheels. So you're trying to figure out, well, I got to take this crappy action because I really want this other action and I don't want to pull that guy off right now. And yeah, it can mess with you a little bit. And then you're always trying to look where the wheel is going to be by the time it gets back to you. Could be, 3 spaces away, could be 5 spaces away, depending if someone does the double move or whatever. So you're trying to figure all that out. Yeah, it's tricky. So Zulkin had to make this honorable mention list.
Yeah, for me, it's like, oh, well, do I want to move up this track or do I want to get this thing? Like, that kind of moving up those technology tracks or like taking the resources and investing them in other things, like that is very difficult. And then, okay, is this going to pan out? Like, and then when you're at that point where you're like, I'm out of workers, shoot, what am I going to have to take off? And is it going to be too early? Yeah, that game is hard. And the last one, I feel like I can't go through this episode without mentioning one of my favorite games. This may move up on my top 100 list. Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. I freaking love this game, obviously, but it is hard. And I love it because it is hard, because it works my brain. I have to remember things that people said, that we have read. You know, I play this a lot with one of my best friends. She's taking notes. We are pulling out maps. The West End one with the Jack the Ripper series of cases, you kind of do like a mini solve for each case, and then you get to the end and you use all that information to then kind of solve as much as you can the Jack the Ripper case. And I mean, I had little like mini chibi figures out to show where all the dead bodies were, and like showing pathways. I stared at maps of old London and old newspapers like for hours. Like, it really is brain burning. I'm like, what do I know about powder burns? Like, what do I know about how these things work? Like, it really pushes my brain. And I love that because I feel like I've become too dependent on Google. I'm always the first to say, Jason, no, don't tell me who's in that show. I'm going to figure it out. Just let me think about it. I know you're going to look it up. That's fine, but I got to think about it. So I love Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, but it is not easy.
When you say brain burning for this, you mean boring, right?
You're boring. It's so fun. Like the thrill of being a detective and solving the case. Like, who doesn't want to do that? That's why I watch all these murder mystery shows. That's why I read mystery novels. I
mean, we do have detective now, so I'd be willing to play that one with you.
I bet after the first one you won't want to do it again. You're
probably right, but I'll give it one. I'll give it a go on one case to see if I enjoy it.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. That's like the sexiest thing you've ever said to me in your life. I love you.
Wow, that's a really low bar.
Guys, I'm sorry that you had to hear that kind of bedroom talk from Jason on the podcast.
All right, we should probably move on.
Oh, now he's embarrassed. Jason's blushing, guys.
You can't even see my face. I'm in a different room.
I can hear it in your voice.
No, you can't. You can't hear nothing in my voice.
Stop it. Don't try to use your testosterone voice. All right, we've derailed. But those are some of the games that we could think of that are brain burny. And maybe we have a different concept of brain burny than you do. So what games burn your brain? Maybe you have games like Jason and I that are your personal nemesis and you just can't play them no matter how hard you try. Now is the time to confess. Tell us on our Facebook page. Definitely, if you haven't joined, hashtag The Riveted, our Facebook group, you need to do so. We love to talk about games. We've lately been throwing things out about the next episode of the podcast, asking for ideas. If you want to comment on the podcast, say, hey, yeah, these are my brain burning games. We love to hear that. We love to talk to you guys. I love to know what you think. And that's also a great way for us to find new games to play and talk about. Because we just really love the hobby. Also, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, and of course, the YouTubes. Jason is so good about putting videos out there for all different kinds of games, quick reviews. He does a playthrough, talks about them. I occasionally unbox some stuff and ramble on. So there's that to look forward to. We just really like chatting with you guys and talking about games.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I got nothing else to say.
Okay. My brain is totally burnt. So I think we're done here.
Yep.
I've been Katie.
And I'm Jason.
Keep gaming, everybody.
Keep gaming.